guys? I wanted to make a video showing how to deal with Hishkatan Predator. I keep hearing all this about Predator being #1 or definitely top 5 and broken, brain dead, etc. Although he is really good, he is a very, very solid character. He does have a few holes that I think the entire community needs to know about. Now, in my personal opinion, granted I haven't been playing him, too long. I probably picked him up maybe a few days after he released, so he's still young. However, I think I do have at least a basic understanding of how the character works and what should work, what shouldn't work, and what does work that shouldn't work. So the first thing I want to talk about is the big thing that I keep hearing about is his zoning. Now his zoning is very good. This is considered a zoning variation, a zoning character. Probably the best zoning character in the game. The only argument could be made is Quan Chi, Summoner Quan Chi. But let's look at what he has. His barrage, which is his EX laser. Now that's 0 on block at point blank range. And obviously the further you go out, the more advantage that it is. It has a slightly angled trajectory. As you can tell, it starts off really, if you look, it starts off really high and kind of goes down lower. It's kind of like Sinestro's projectile in Injustice. And like I said, it is extremely plus on block at range. So just be careful, and I'll go into how to deal with his zoning and how to work your way in just a second. Now, his chip damage is something else that I keep hearing about. His barrage, let's see, his EX laser does 4.88% chip. So that's 1.75 plus 1.63 plus 1.5. Now and then I brought this up and someone said, well, isn't he guaranteed a low laser afterwards? Which a low laser is 1.75. Now that would bring it to 6.63. So 6.63% chip. That's really good. Except he's not guaranteed the low laser. Not necessarily anyway. I also want to point out that Quan Chi's chip damage on his EX rune, if he does an EX rune, he's basically guaranteed another rune. And that doesn't include the bat thing that he has in Summoner or anything like that. But with EX rune into another rune, that's 5.5% chip. So that's not far from what Predator gets, even if he does get a low laser out. Now, dealing with his zoning, there's a few things that you can do, and it really just depends on what the pattern the Hishkatan player is doing. Basically, the rule of thumb is do a straight shot into low shot. Because of how quick the straight laser recovers at that range and how quick that comes out. And I forget exactly the frame date actually, let's see. The far ground laser, it says it's 24 startup. Now, I don't know if that's correct. I know there's a lot of incorrect frame data and it doesn't take into consideration of distance and all that stuff, but it is really fast and it can be overwhelming to deal with. But basically, this is I guess you could say, bread and butter of Hishkatan zoning, just because of how good this is. Now, another thing is the hitbox. See the explosion on the ground? That's more or less the entire hitbox of that projectile, which is huge. It might be a little bit on the ridiculous side, of huge, just because it can make it difficult to work your way in, and if you're wrong, you get sent back basically to full screen, depending on what it is. But let's see. So after a low laser, like let's say you know he's doing his thing, and you block a low laser. The low laser is, it says it's plus 10 on block. I don't think that's accurate either, although it might be, because this move is, the straight shot is 15 startup plus whatever time it takes to travel across the screen. So that might be plus 10. Now, I could do this, right? Well, actually, I don't think I tested that. Let me test that real quick. Sorry, I tried to get all my testing done before I did this. Okay, let's see. Again. Okay, so yeah, you can definitely do that. So basically what you want to do is, you know, Predator's doing his thing, you know, zoning, blah blah blah. Anytime, sorry, let me put my phone on vibrate. Anytime a low laser comes out, you can do a very short, but you can still probably get maybe 1.5, 2 character widths across the screen each time a low laser comes out. And I just showed you, you just saw I did low laser into EX straight shot, and Sub-Zero was still able to do it. So anytime a low laser comes out, you can do a short run cancel, and that's how you can gain some distance in. Now let's say you want to move after this one, right? This is what I can do it. Sorry, it can be tricky sometimes. Okay. People are saying that that is too strong. Basically, EX into low shot. Okay. Well, something that you can do is after the barrage, you can jump. Now, this is very situational. It obviously depends on, do I have a disc up? You know, things like that. You can jump. That's if I don't have a disc in the air, that's probably the easiest way. Because if I do barrage into low, obviously he'll jump over it. Even if I do barrage into straight, he'll still jump over it. But there is, you still can do a run cancel. It is a little bit tricky, and it probably take some practice, but you can run cancel after a EX straight shot. And you might not get a lot of distance as the low laser, like the 1.5, 2 character widths across. But you will still get some ground made up. Now, where you want to stop worrying about working your way in is inside his back 2 range. Now, see, his down 4 is just outside. His back 2 will still connect. So you want to get used to his back 2 distance as far as your spacing. Now, and that's something else I'll go into in just a minute, why back 2 is so important. Now, another thing about, this isn't really zoning, but it's something worth mentioning, is I also keep hearing that his wake up EX laser is too strong. Now, his EX laser, let's see one more time what it is. EX. Okay, his EX laser is 8 frames on startup. You know, that's really, really fast. And if like I said before, it starts off really, really high and then it goes low, kind of angles downward. So what a lot of people are doing that's getting caught by his wake up EX straight laser is they're trying to jump in, or they're trying to cross over, or whatever. You have to remember that he doesn't have any armor on this wake up. And that's something else I'm going to talk about, is Predator's wake up and how to deal with that. But I'm kind of going in priority based on what I keep hearing complaints about. So basically, he is a zoning character, so obviously his zoning tools are going to be really good, but it's not like you're completely locked down. The basic thing to do is to stay relaxed, and also I used to think it was my controller that was doing this, but I would record, when I was doing my testing, I would record my zoning, different patterns of the zoning, and although when I recorded it, everything came out perfectly, when it was played back, sometimes he would jump. And that might be a bug, I'm not sure. It might just be execution error, because you do have to do down back 3 and then close far, or whatever. You have to do the close or far after the 3, so it might be an execution thing. But anyway, if he does jump, that is a free getting right there. There's nothing he can do. I wouldn't necessarily go in and start pressuring just because of his EX Scimitar stab, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Let's see. The second thing I wanted to talk about is his low laser pressure, I'm going to call it, even though it's not really pressure because it's blocked once. I have to block. There's just no way around that. Now the frame data says that close low laser is -22. Now that's obviously completely wrong. That would mean that I would be full combo punishable right here, and obviously I'm not. Anybody that's played against a Predator knows that that's not the case. But let's talk about his low laser pressure. There's a few gaps that you can. Let me put his reversal, turn that on. There's a few gaps in his low laser cancels. Now his back 2 doesn't have a gap. His back 2-2 doesn't have a gap. 3-2 doesn't have a gap. 4-2-1 doesn't have a gap. Now, about 4-2-1, you might be thinking to yourself, well, who uses that? I actually use that a lot, especially after a setup. I throw a disc and then I'll throw a disc and then I'll go into it, because really that's the only time I can think to use a 29 startup move. I mean, really. I mean, I can, hit it and then use the plus frames off of that to do whatever. But anyway, let's talk about the ones that has a gap. Now, his standing 3 in the corner, it is considered a legit 50-50 that 3-2 low laser and standing 3 low laser is a legit 50-50, that there's no way around it, but you have to guess. I've already said that 3-2 low laser doesn't have a gap, but watch when I do standing 3 in the low laser. You can armor through it. There's a gap in there. Now, obviously, this might require a little bit of option selecting your armor, or whatever you got to do. Godlike reads, I don't know, but there is a gap in there, which means it really isn't a legit 50-50. There is a way around it, and still, if I am wrong, I see this a lot of people too, especially some random people that I play online, that if they block a low laser, I'm not advantaged. I have to block, because my follow-up, let's say I'm doing his 3-2 low laser shenanigan in the corner. His standing 3 is 12 frame startup, okay? That is, I mean, it's pretty good. I mean, it's a little slow, but not really. It's a decent mid hitting attack. Especially if it hits, that's basically, besides standing 4, that's his most damaging startup string. But we tested, that's interesting. Oh, that's right, he doesn't reverse if he has the duck. Anyway, a couple players that I play every day, we tested this, and it's not, his low laser is not minus 22. Like I said, that's absolutely ridiculous. We guess, because we don't have the equipment to get the exact frame data or anything like that, but we basically did the jump test and doing different reversals of different characters, and basically using characters like Reptile or Kung Lao, or, you know, someone with really fast reversals, and we guess that it's somewhere between -7 and -9 on block. Regardless, it's still enough that I have to block. I can't do anything except block. If I try to do anything, any character's low pokes will stop me. So let's continue looking at his different low laser gaps that you can armor through. We already said that 3 low laser is a gap. His 4-2-1-2. Now this is another 50-50 quote unquote that I use after I throw a smart disc, because the third hit of 4-2-1-2 is an overhead. That's why I like to use it, the forward 1 low or forward 1 2. Oh, I got armored. So there's a gap there. I think more Predators do need to incorporate that string more, by the way, because I mean, you're plus on block on forward 2 and forward 2-1. But anyway, also down 4 laser. Now this is the one that's causing all the hate, because down 4 is supposed to be negative on block, right? It is. And actually, see if I can do it. Okay. See, that was actually really hard to do. You know, people are saying that the only way to make his down 4 safe is to laser cancel it in the block. Where that is true, but this is Sub-Zero, so his EX slide is, I believe it's 9 frame startup. So it looked really tight, so it might be -8, -9, maybe -7. I'll give myself a little leeway in execution, but it's just as safe as his low laser. But anyway, his down 4 low laser has a gap. If you see down 4, throw out your armor, especially if it's safe armor. Now, not a lot of characters have that, but I'll use Tanya for an example, because I've been in the lab all day against Tanya, so this is my only frame of reference right now. But Tanya, she has safe armor, so anytime a Tanya player sees down 4, throw out your armor, because what am I going to do? Down 4, punish. Down 4 low laser, punish. Down 4 laser cancel, okay, yeah, I'll be able to block it, but you're safe, right? So that basically means that I have to give up my pressure, I have to up my execution just to play footsies. Right? See, even at its max range, let's see if I can, whoops, at its max range, still punishable. I mean, it's -13 on block, so even at full range, it's not that big of an advantage. So yeah, if you see it down 4 and you have safe armor, or if you're sure that I'm not going to do down 4 laser cancel, throw out your armor, because there's really nothing else that I can do. I mean, I can do, let's try, yeah, it doesn't come out fast enough. Let's see, that goes under it, but you can see only 1 laser came out, and that's a pretty fast armored move, but there won't be enough lasers to stuff at least every armored move. I haven't tested it on every character, so I don't want to say it flat out won't work. But if you see a down 4 and you know that I'm going to do laser or just down 4, throw out your armor, especially if it's an advanced armor. Advancing armor, I should say. Now, this is something that Predators don't normally use. but just for the sake of being thorough, I wanted to add it in. His standing 1 into low laser gets armored. His standing 2 into low laser gets armored. Now, 2-1 does not. 1-2 does not. 1-2-2 does not. So, the 1-2 thing is a legit 50-50 because neither of them can be armored. So that's really the only laser 50-50 he has. And as you guys know, it is a high. So it's not completely broken. And that's something else I wanted to talk about, was his pokes. Alright, so his pokes, his fastest pokes are standing 1, which is, I believe, 9 frames, right? 10 frames, I'm sorry. And his forward 1 is 8 frames. Now, his standing 1 is a typical high. You know, it whiffs at crouch, but if they're blocking, he'll actually hit. Most highs in this game do that, especially standing 1s. But his forward 1 is a true high. Now, I haven't tested this on like Ferrotor or Goro, you know, the biggest hitbox characters, but I'm pretty sure that it'll still whiff, because look how high that is. That is really high. And that brings me to the third thing I want to talk about, is his laser pressure. Laser cancel pressure, I should say. Put him back standing. Now, there's a few things about his laser canceled pressure that needs to be known. His 3-2 laser cancel, well, is the only one that he's advantaged enough to actually do something safely. The other ones aren't advantaged enough to really do much afterwards. I mean, you can do, you know, a cancel into block or, you know, whatever. But there's one thing that a lot of predators do, or at least I think they should do until they start getting punished, is 3-2 laser cancel into forward 1-2. Now the reason for that is that can't be armored. It can be poked though, because forward 1 is a true high. So if all you have to do is just duck and down 1. But it can't be armored, and that's what a lot of people try to do against predators' gaps, is armor. Now, another thing that a lot of people should know is the different follow-ups that he can do after, if I can do a cancel. Okay. So 3-2 laser cancel into 2-1, or 3-2, because they're both 12 frames, so it acts the same way. If you try to poke after 3-2 laser cancel, the 3-2 into 2-1 will stop that, and you'll be in a full combo, or at least into a laser, and you'll be, what is that, plus 65, I think, low laser, close laser, yeah, plus 65, the close laser. So that's no good. But if you see that I'm going for 3-2 cancel into 2-1 or 3-2, those can be armored out of. And in fact, a lot of people that I play against do armor through all of that. Another thing that tends to work a lot but shouldn't work is 3-2 cancel into grab. Now, a grab is obviously a high, basically. It can be ducked. And there's also enough room to armor through. It's tight, and it might require some practice, but it can be poked or armored out of. You just have to practice it. Okay, let's see where we are now. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about is his Predator's Wake Up. Now, I saved this for last because it's basically known already that his armor is really slow, and it's better used as an anti-zoning tool, even though that kind of is weird because this variation is one of, if not the best zoner in the game. But if you're going against a Katana or Quan Chi, you know, anybody that's wanting to do something at full screen against Predator, you know, just run in Scimitar's stab. Now the cool thing about this move is it has armor throughout its entire duration, not just on startup. So if someone throws a projectile at you, just armor right through it. Now there's a drawback to this though. Although it's a really, really strong anti-zoning tool and a whiff punishing tool if you use it right, it's his only armored move. At least in this variation. I know Warrior has a couple others. But it's his only armored move. And it's 23 frame startup. So that basically means that it's the second worst. He's the second worst character to get up off the ground after Quan Chi. Because Quan Chi's armor is, I think, 30 something on startup, and it's just horrible. Plus, if his armor does hit, he gets massive damage, he gets setups, you know, etc. So one thing that a lot of people need to do that I haven't seen a lot of yet is coming up on Predator on a knockdown. Stop blocking. On a knockdown and doing a standing one or a down one, or if you're playing a character that has a fast hitting safe string, or a way that you can cancel it in order for it to be safe, that's what you need to do every time Predator is knocked on the ground and you're close to him, because there's literally nothing he can do. Let me set him to wake up, Scimitar slam. Whoops. Well, I swear it works. Hang on. What is his standing one? 0 on block, 7 frames. There it is. So basically, standing one into block. Now if I do wake up, throw, obviously that'll stop it. You know, a wake up, jump. No. Oh, I have to turn it off. That's right. Or a wake up, jump. Obviously, will stop it. You know, whatever. So basically, anytime, like I said, anytime you knock Predator down, run up on his ass and throw out a standing one, a down one, whatever it is, and then block. Or the string. If you have a string, that's even better, because you can hit confirm that into a combo, or if I block it, you're safe. You know what I'm saying? So his wake up game is really lacking. And I'm sure it's already known, but I want to just say that his EX Scimitar stab is negative on block. His full combo punishable. Well, I shouldn't say full combo punishable, but it is punishable. It's usually characters 1-1. Their fastest hitting string will punish it with a combo. It's negative 14 on block. Now, obviously, that depends on space, because one of the things that I try to do is throw it out at its max range. Now, its max range, it's pretty much completely safe, because most characters 1-1 or the fastest hitting string won't reach them. So that probably would have reached. Let's see. Now it travels super far. That's why it's probably really good. See, that was the max range right there, where you only saw his claw touch. Oh, we'll That's his max range, and that's completely safe except for reversals, because it is still negative 14. You know, whether I'm this close to you or this close to you, it's still negative 14. So basically, that's it. Predator is a extremely good character. Don't take any of this. Don't take this video. Don't take any of this the wrong way. I think this character is an extremely solid character. Definitely, without a question, top 10, and in my opinion, definitely in the talks for top 5. You know, like I said, I'm still leveling up. I'm still discovering stuff with Predator. You know, he might end up being 7th or 9th, and he might end up being 3rd or 2nd. He's definitely not 1st though, so that nonsense needs to stop. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask. But I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.